Jay, Travis on me and Ernie's podcast a couple of weeks ago.
The steam room, baby.
Hey, let me tell you something. My daughter, who I didn't even know paid attention to my podcast, calls me, says, Dad, you had Travis Kelce on the podcast? I said, yeah, we had him on last week. She says, I said, please stop right now. Please stop. It's so weird when your daughter has crushes on people and because it's my baby girl. I say the first time she's ever mentioned my podcast to me. So now I'm assuming she's listening to the podcast all the time. But she was so excited we had Trav on, Jason. Nothing against you now.
Oh, listen, this has been my story of my life. This ain't nothing new for me.
Hey, man, I just want to thank you. I know you got to go to your real job. It's been awesome getting to know you these last few years. I'm so proud of your success. It couldn't happen to a better
I think it was going to be, where it got to today. We just we wanted to find a way to kind of, take our relationship and showcase it to the world. And it took the right production. It took the right people to kind of get it all together. And what we realized is that we hadn't had that much time to talk just football and life with each other our entire careers. And it's kind of like we sit back like, man, why haven't we been doing this since the jump? I get 2 hours specifically every single week to just sit here and talk to my brother all the way on the other side of the states. And it just kind of brought us together even more. And I think the following that we have, the 92 percenters that we got over there, they appreciate, seeing that growth and us bonding and that sibling banter that you see in a lot of households. And on top of that, man, my brother's he's a riot, so he's not shy to say anything on the mic. You can check us out on anywhere you get your podcasts, or follow us on social medias at Mwe Heights Show, baby.
Hey, this the whole family aspect of this, and you kind of touched on it when you talked about the Super Bowl, but when you're on that stage, does your mind go back, not during the game, but just that whole time surrounding the Super Bowl? Does it go back to those mornings where you remember mom and dad taking you to the rec league games and that whole vibe and man, so what's that like? How gratifying is that when you remember that and you think of the sacrifices your folks made to make sure you could play and that kind of thing?
Well, it really takes me back to the days because my dad was always very involved in, the booster clubs in my the parent group that would help out with the football in middle school, and he was the one holding the chains on the sideline during the high school games, and so my father taking us to practice, making sure our pads were all set, making sure after a week of practice, bringing home the pants and the jersey and making sure we're washing them and taking them into,
How hard have you been working on your golf game, getting ready for the match?
Chuck, I'm grinding right now. I've never hit the range like this ever in my life. I'm starting to figure some things out. I was out playing yesterday. I hit the range for about an hour, went out there and still shot at 85 like I was a scrub. I was kicking that thing right and left.
So this is Jason and Jason. Charles Barkley was
my
on...
daughter, who I didn't even know paid attention.
So Charles Barkley was on Travis and Jason Kelce's podcast, Mwe Heights, and he was talking about for the first time his daughter listening to his podcast, and first thing she asks was Travis Kelce, and I guess she must be a fan and smitten about Travis Kelce, and he said his daughter is so excited about seeing Travis Kelce. He said, "Oh no." Jason said...
From Miami. This is the first steam room, or maybe, have we done the steam room remotely before?
I don't think we've ever... Oh, yeah, I think we did it in Chicago one time. Remember,
yes. We did for All-Star Weekend, as a matter of fact.
So we got a very, very special guest. Should we go two-time Super Bowl champion, all-pro tight end, Saturday Night Live host? What would be the best way to bring on our next guest?
I think you've covered it all.
Oh, wait a minute. Brother of Jason Kelce.
There you go. That's quite the introduction. And so We welcome Travis Kelce to the steam room, and we only have one rule, Travis, and that is when you're in the steam room, please keep your towel on.
Towel on, man. You never know who's got their drawers on or not, man.
It's Charles Barkley. He invited Travis Kelce to his show, the steam room, I think with Ernie Johnson. I forgot his last name. And so the first time he said his daughter even talked about mention about his podcast. Oh, sorry.